years to 20 years.
Good morning. What is up, Profitable Stylists? We have a very special episode for you guys today. We are 100,000 subscribers. Thank you all very, very much. And in the rarest of rare all appearances, we've got RJ, who you guys have all heard about. Bernard and I talk about off screen.
Yeah. It's like
we've got the face reveal for you as your special treat. Yeah.
Probably the last time, unless we hit 1 million.
So there you go, people.
Attaway. What are you here for?
The reason I'm here is because you guys submitted questions, and Bernard and Eddie have no idea what the questions are. So this way I could keep it on the cuff, and you'll get their instant responses. So that's what we're doing today. So first question is from me to you guys. How's it feel to hit 100,000?
Never thought we would do it. I thought we would just do this for a few months and it would fail and we would just quit. And so just the fact that we stuck with it long enough for it to pay off, it's like, it really, if you stick with, I'm not saying it always happens, but if you stick with something, it can happen. And this one did. It feels pretty good.
You know, it was one of those things because this whole thing started during the pandemic.
Did it?
And then you and I were talking, Bernard, you and I were talking with each other and we're like,
we have time.
We have time. Yeah, we actually have time. We can actually do something. Should we just do something to keep busy? Like, yeah, we'll just start doing something. All right. So the whole thing started. I mean, when I look back on some of the first videos, the first lives that we did, I'm like, oh my God.
Right.
But then it got to the point where it was like, all right, the pandemic was over and we started back to work and it started getting busy. And I was like, should we stop doing this? Should we keep doing this? And you're like, yeah, it's kind of fun. It's like having coffee Thursday morning with a friend, you know, let's just keep going. Let's see where this goes. And then it went viral and then it freaking exploded. And we're like, okay, I guess this is a thing. We're doing this now.
And we became more real. I think in the beginning, we were trying to perform. We were trying too hard to deliver. And I think people appreciate just the sincere,
right.
You know, we kind of joke like he's saying we don't know the questions. And my joke was going to be, yeah, this time we won't be prepared. But that's
well, yeah, you didn't ask what are we doing today?
Just like every other Thursday.
Well, just like every other Thursday, because I feel like if I prepare, I come across as a performance, kind of fake. It's not so real. So to me, I've been living this business, this industry for 30 years. If I don't know it, I would rather say I don't know it. I don't want to study it and try to teach something I don't know. Now, sometimes we do the history of it, and you're like, you got to look it up. And Eddie will do that, you know, look up some history. He'll send me some of the facts and I'll read them and be like, oh, that's very interesting. And we'll talk about it, but more real. So I think us just becoming more real and just having a chat. But I think some of the things that made us better also, Eddie, was just the look, this whole look of everything, because in the beginning we had no idea what platforms to use. And so audio got better, visually it got better.
It's so funny. Neither one of us really do technology or do social media that hard, you know. So the learning curve and the progression from learning, you know, getting the softwares and getting the cameras and getting the audios and stuff. Yeah.
Next question.
It's been wild.
Well, I'm personally blown away about 100,000 just from my daughters are in college, so you realize what a big deal it is when their friends are telling them, your dad's got 100,000 subscribers, you know. So, and it's crazy, like the candle video number 4, the kids at Southern Miss have been using it to relax, study, and sleep. That's cool. The Southern Miss kids pumped that thing up to the top. So it's amazing. So shout out to Abby and Jonky for the candle burning videos.
That's pretty cool.
So, all right. Question 1, hair related. This is from Holly L. She says, I've been out of school about 5 years where we all dreamt of owning a salon, but most of the salon owners that I know seem miserable. What are the pluses and minuses of owning a salon?
There are none.
No pluses or minuses?
Either one, right. That's a great question, huh?
Because we have some good ones. Kudos to our audience.
Is that the Holly that helped us in Pennsylvania? That
Holly L. No, it's
no,
not.
That's a different Holly.
That's funny. Yeah. It's a different L. Okay. So
I said Holly L because we have 2 Hollies that did questions. So we got a Holly C coming up.
So when you say seem miserable, first thing I thought was owning a salon for I don't know, a little over 20 years. I've gone through all the emotions owning a salon. So when you say they all seem miserable, I think they all are miserable at least at some point. Some may be miserable the whole way through. Some maybe never, maybe. But I think we all, just like life, that's that roller coaster,
Right.
And so I enjoy owning a salon now, but miserable. I'm gonna let you take this one first,
So
Eddie.
Eddie,
I
hit some of the pluses and minuses.
I'm joking that there are none, but it's like some days it feels like that. Some of the minuses is all right. I'll start with the minuses because I think the positives make everything worth it, and I think everybody just gets way too focused on the negatives way too much.
Mm-hmm.
I've owned a salon for 10 years, and then I've been running. I've been helped run a salon for the past 10 years, so I've been on both sides of it, as an owner and now as a stylist who's kind of like help. The negatives to it is you don't realize how much time investment truly is involved. And you really do miss out on a lot of family stuff and a lot of personal stuff, a lot of friend stuff. There's a lot of things going on that you just don't get to be a part of. And in the beginning, you justify it because you're like, oh, the business is growing, the business is moving, the business is this, the business is that. Next thing you realize, everything you do is just a business. It's no more family. It's no more marriage. It's no more yourself. It's just the business has absorbed your entire everything, Well, but it's an easy trap to fall into.
Yeah.
At least it was for me. I don't know. But so that was a huge negative. And then there's the financial part of it. In the beginning, you're reinvesting all the monies back into the business to get the business going. And then once the business is going, you're chasing all that money to keep that business going. And then you're making money. Now you're enjoying all that money that the business is making. You like get used to that money. So now you're freaking thinking about the money. So that could be a negative as well too, and equally a positive. Then the last thing I'd say as a big negative would be the amount of freaking headache of babysitting other people if you don't get the right staff and the right team, or if you don't set up the right environment first, like this is my expectations of how I run my place. And then other people start coming in, start hiring other people, and they, everybody's got their own ideas and their own opinions. And all of a sudden that starts taking over your original stuff. Like that, then it just becomes, that's the part where it becomes miserable. But from the positive side of things, man, you've built something with your own hands that's yours. Nobody can take that from you. Yeah. And that's freaking proud to say that you did that. And then you get to hire other people on and you get to help other people's lives, not just your own life. And you get to give back and be part of a community in your own neighborhood, or you can grow to something larger. It's freaking amazing. It really is a great feeling to be able to do that, And at the end of the day, all the decisions that you have to make, you get to make those decisions. And if you come up with an idea, it's your idea and you get to realize that idea. And then people are buying into that idea. And I'm just freaking smiling ear to ear right now because that's that feeling. Like that's the dream that it's like, this is mine. I did this. This is freaking awesome. So that positive, all those positives, seeing all those clients come in and leave smiling and happy. You've got employees that for the most part are happy. You got the government's happy because you're paying them crap ton of taxes, That's that. I don't know. That's the positives. I think that's what makes everything worth it.
So I'm gonna say one thing. There's so many things I could say with owning for so many years, but when you say the right culture, that's a difficult thing because you don't really know what culture you should have till you have people there. You say get the culture before you get the people, but then you get the people and they aren't the right culture, and then you have trouble knowing if you should keep them, change the culture, fire them. And so one of the biggest changes that we've had and made in the salon industry as far as management was a 90-day probationary period. Because hiring people was a scary thing. Like, do we have the right person? I don't want to fire them if they're wrong. And so a lady helped us out years ago with an idea where yes, we're going to hire you. Obviously, if you can tell you shouldn't, just don't. But if you're on the fence and you hire them, take everybody in with a 90-day probationary period where they have to bring in, there's 13 weeks in a 90-day period. So they have to bring in one new client for a 13 weeks, one new client, each with an individual service that the other ones have not gotten, bring in a man's haircut, a woman's color, a woman's highlight, hair extensions. But what you're doing is you're seeing if they can help you build a business. Sure, you're going to market and advertise and bring clients in, but are they going to also help? Because if they're just dead weight, you probably don't want them around. You want them actively building the business while you're actively building the business. So we track it. And at 5 or 6 weeks, if they don't have 5 or 6 new clients, they're on their way out. And so they know, and they fire themselves at 8, 9, 10 weeks. They have 3 or 4 new clients and you're looking over it each week and they don't have it. They're out. They just go. And they didn't fit into the culture of we build this thing together. So that has been something we've slacked on a little bit through some time, but that's been one of the most powerful things. There's a lot of little powerful things, the rescheduling, so many things we do. But I think that's been one of the most powerful, makes me feel good about owning a salon because I don't have to do the firing. It kind of works on its own for the wrong people.
So I would add, great question, Holly, but before the pros and cons of owning a salon, I would say if you love doing hair and love being behind the chair, but you hate managing people, then owning a salon will suck the life out of you.
Oh, yeah.
There's technicians and there's managers, and there's nothing wrong with being a great technician at the right salon. If you just love doing hair, there's probably no reason for you to own a salon unless you really love managing people and solving people problems. Yeah, so consider that before the plus and minuses. That's from the book E-Myth. Next question is from Becca. What do you do when a client brings extensions in that they bought online? Do you put them in?
You go first on that one. I'm not touching that one first.
It's funny. Who texted me this question?
Hope it wasn't Becca.
No, somebody in our salon, because we have new people. So it's either a new hairdresser. Oh God, who was it? Somebody said, either it was a Facebook question, so-and-so's got her own hair. I know you guys. She wants to bring it in, have it put in. I know you guys. It must have been another client trying to refer us a client. Said, I know you guys do extensions. A friend of mine has her own hair, and I know you guys do this sort of thing. And I'm thinking, no, we don't do this sort of thing. How do you just know this? But we do a lot of extensions, and nowadays there are so many types of extensions. I don't want to put an extension in that I'm not familiar with. So that's my excuse. I say, we don't put in extensions that we don't buy and sell, or buy and then sell to you in a service. So we just don't do it. We don't have a long drawn out why, because yes, it could be like, oh, but these are very similar to something you already use in your salon. I don't know the quality of the hair. I don't know where it came from. We take a long time to test hair to make sure it's got high quality, doesn't tangle, doesn't fade. And then even at that high end of high quality hair, you still deal with a little bit of challenges and problems, but it's the same problems over and over. I don't want to take the risk of putting hair extensions on somebody that they bought on Amazon at some local beauty supply and gets all tangled or knotted or matted or color fades really quickly or falls out. And then they wonder what I did wrong or what one of my stylists did wrong. I don't know the problems or challenges that are going to come with this other hair. Most likely and most often going to be a lower end, low quality. And inherently, this is the reason it's happening. They're trying to save money. So they're buying cheaper hair somewhere else, hoping to get you to put it in, and you're going to deal with problems. Zig Ziglar. Oh God, RJ, help me with this quote if I get it wrong. You know which one I'm going to say?
Yeah. Apologize once
for
price.
For high. Right. If you're going to
apologize forever for the quality.
Yeah. If you have high price and high quality, you apologize once. I'm so sorry. It's very expensive. But if you go with low end, low price, you're going to do a whole bunch of apologizing, right, a whole lot sooner. You're going to be apologizing for the tangling, the matting, the color fading, the falling out, the damage, the sore spots, the traction alopecia, all the stuff that give hair extensions a bad name because people don't, and not enough people know all the good experiences you can have with extensions. And so I want to stick with those good experiences and not even take a chance with the lower end.
Right.
I have to second. I kind of have to just second the way you put it, because that's why I didn't want to answer first. I don't have a graceful way.
You knew I'd be passionate about it.
Right. Because I get, you know, my saying, my thing is always this. It's okay to be, and this is my opinion, it's okay to be mean sometimes or come off sounding mean sometimes, but never rude. You shouldn't be rude to somebody, you know?
It's not even mean.
You're
looking out for your client.
I am. And I personally don't believe in having something supplied to you to do it on somebody else.
Right.
That's just saying, I don't know if it's an insult or not, but I take it as an insult to say, so what I have invested in and inventoried and stocked, you think is utter, like not good enough.
Well,
you
Eddie,
have to bring in your own stuff.
Let's bring it to home, closer to home for you. Can I just pick up a box of color at Walgreens and then bring it in and you put it on my hair?
That's what I mean, right? Like, could you imagine? You know,
Right.
You're more of a colorist than an extensionist. I'm more of an extensionist than a colorist.
You know,
so but
it's like when clients come in, they have like a whole bundle, and you know they're plastic tips. They're not even keratin; they're plastic. You know the hair is, I don't know what the hair is, but yeah, it's like, okay, fine. You're gonna go with one of those boxes from the store. You know it's not good for you. But you think it's because they got a better commercial, you know, like that's what you're going off of.
Right.
I can't. I can't.
Yeah, my only caveat to that would be if they needed maybe clip-ins cut for a special occasion, but any permanently attached extensions, especially if they involve adhesive, you know, no thanks. You have no idea what's in there. And then when you put them in, it's one thing. When you have to remove them, that might be a whole nother problem.
So we would classify that in extended wear or daily wear. And so, right, if it's a daily wear type like a wig, a hairpiece, a clip-in, something somebody takes off at night, puts back on, and they come in and they need a haircut or trim, that's different. That's a haircut.
Right.
And maybe I would do some cutting. And then you've got to be careful because it could be human or synthetic. We're going down a rabbit hole now, but putting extensions in usually infers more of that extended wear, more semi-permanent, where it's going to be in for weeks or months at a time. And that's where the damage and the problems come from: sleeping, washing, brushing, styling, and washing, drying. That back and forth can be a big problem.
You know, you just reminded me of something. I ran into since you brought up the color, it made me remember a memory. Remember something.
It's almost English.
That's the good kind of memories, the one you remember.
Sometimes when you're behind the chair, you know, when a client says something to you, the whole reason why a lot of us are in this industry, Becca, was it? Becca, you know, we get into this industry because we want to do nice for people. And it feels really bad sometimes to say no to somebody, right? So I was dealing with a salon once where they had a client who came in. She actually did have her own box of color, and she was just absolutely convinced that it was going to be good for her. And they called me in because they were terrified to say no to the client. So they called me as the educator to pretend like I worked there for a day just so I can do the consultation, you know? And it was just the utter sheer awkwardness and uncomfortableness of the stylists because they just didn't have the heart to say no, or they didn't know how to navigate that conversation, to explain it to the client, to say, you know what, we don't use this kind of things. Like, we don't believe in this kind of things. We can show you how these things are not good for you. You know, we got better options, blah, blah, blah. And then the whole price point thing became awkward. It's like, well, if she brought her own stuff, do we charge her full price, or do we have to give her a discount because she's supplying some of the supply? So I think some of that question also has to do with being experienced enough through your consult and just through your business mindset of it as well, of navigating why that's happening or how that's happening as well, you know? So from a product perspective, I don't agree with it. From a business perspective, I just like to protect myself from that as well too. But it is an interesting question. It's a tough question.
Right.
Yeah, you really, I know stylists that do that and they're all for it.
Do.
They do, you know, but
Well, you have to consider it's also harder to say no when you're working 10 hours a week and you're trying to fill your book.
and you're trying to
When
fill your
you,
book.
like we have a stylist that's booked out 6 weeks. It'd be easy for her to turn that down, but
That's a great point.
the answer is still no. I know
Yeah.
it's hard to turn down money, but the headache might not be worth it. But this might tie into the next question, which I'm not sure I quite understand. So maybe I wish we could interview some of these people. So Patty has a question. She says, congratulations on 100,000 subscribers. So thanks,
Nice.
Patty.
Thank you.
And it says, you seem to do a lot of extensions. Do you have your customers sign a waiver?
That's a good
You
question.
don't understand that one? Really? We used to.
Waiver implies liability. Does she mean like a model release, or does she mean waiver?
No. A waiver, straight up waiver. Yes.
Well, there was a day when there was barely. We've grown up in the era of a real healthy extension technique and require education. But there's been a time when, man, people just sold anything to anybody. It's part of the reason why you're right. That last question is part of the reason why I don't just take stuff in from other companies, because some products, I always said, Eddie always refers back to this. I always said that hair extensions and damage relates to this three-legged stool.
Right.
And, you know, I can't control all three legs. One of the legs is me as a hairdresser. One of the legs is the client. One is the manufacturer of the hair. So I can be really good. The client can take great care of the hair, but that manufacturer can sell me crappy hair that just is going to not perform well and just tangle up, mat up on the head. Then the only way to get it out is to cut it out, cutting their hair. You've damaged their hair. And there in the very early days, as I was becoming a hairdresser, not doing extensions yet, I saw cases on TV, those TV court cases where they were suing for the damage to their hair because of something a hairdresser did. And many times it was extensions. And they're trying to say that the stylist caused damage, which I guess the stylist could be the problem too. But again, it could be the client. You know, we got the three. Any one of those three legs breaks, that stool's falling down. And if any one of those goes bad and you end up in a lawsuit and you're getting sued, that's what stylists started trying to protect themselves from. If anything goes wrong, you're not suing me, right?
Yeah.
The client's like, how bad do I want long hair?
Seems risky to me.
No, but that is a situation, you know,
So my answer is no. We don't do a waiver, by the way.
I don't know if it's a regional thing. I don't know if it's just crappy people out there exist, but you know, in the larger cities, you know, I'm outside of Chicago. So just the amount of population that's around here, there is a thing called salon hoppers, clients that just go from one salon. That's everywhere. But then there is just crappy people in general as well too, you know, and then there's snobby people. And I'm not saying this is everybody. I'm just saying it as it relates to this specific question about waivers. You know when a client comes in, if they're going to be a decent, kind-hearted person, you know if they're going to be a snobby person, you know they're going to be a crabby person. You know, you can kind of tell. You could kind of tell during the consultation from the questions they're asking and the way their demeanor is, right?
That's a good point. I think I know where you're going, and I like it.
Yeah. So sometimes you know, like this person is going to be a headache. This person's going to be they're going to be tough, but they're not going to be like, they're not being rude right now. They're just being a pain of the butt right now, but they're still worth dealing with. They haven't crossed that line where you're like, I'm not for you. You need to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
the waiver is really, you know, especially in the larger city.
Or just say no.
Right. But you don't know. It makes sense now because in our salon, we use all certified stylists and quality hair. So the waiver didn't make sense to me, but I do remember that lady that her husband was a lawyer and she just went all over the country. She threatened us with a lawsuit. We just refunded her, but that's exactly what she wanted to happen. So I guess a waiver in that case definitely would have helped. But, you know, her name got spread around enough where the stylist after us that did her hair videoed her saying how much she liked it. So
that was
all right. So Timothy says, I know you guys teach a lot. How often are you behind the chair? And do you prefer teaching or being behind the chair? Bernard, that's an easy answer for you.
I prefer, oh man, I don't know.
So what percentage of time, Eddie, are you behind the chair versus teaching?
Depending on the week, I could be behind the chair anywhere from 3 to 4 days a week. During the holidays, I go every night. I'm there 6 to 7 days.
So say 3 days.
But on an average, like on a regular normal week, I'll go in 3 to 4 times a week. I'll do Saturday, like a full day Saturday. And then during the week, I'll go in the evening. So from like, I try to take my last one at about 9, 10 o'clock so I could be done by about midnight.
And when do you teach? What days and how many
so
days?
So then 9 to 5 during the week. I teach so Monday and Tuesday I do group education, group learning, meaning I can have a dozen people from different salons. You know, there could be a dozen people in a class, and you could have like 2 from this shop, 2 from that shop, you know, 1 from that shop, whatever. So that's Monday and Tuesday's group learning. Sunday, Wednesday, and Friday, I do individual mentorship. I don't teach on Saturday because I'm in the salon all day behind the chair. And then Thursday, I try to reserve Thursday for paperwork, just to catch up on paperwork during the day.
Right.
And the live with you, right? And then I go into the salon, you know, Thursday night. I every Thursday night is my extension night. So Thursday, you know, I do the live, I do paperwork, then I go into the salon and I do extensions.
You know what a filibuster is?
What's that?
Filibuster.
Filibuster.
It's a political term.
You ever heard
the filibuster?
Oh, we can't do.
What is that for Sunday? What is that for? When am I supposed to do that? I don't have time for anything else, man. When am I supposed to do a filibuster?
Which one do you prefer, dude?
It
was 2 questions. How often are you behind a chair, and do you prefer teaching or being behind a chair?
I got you. I am from the Windy City, so it just comes naturally to me, the filibuster stuff. Okay. I don't know. So yesterday I enjoyed being an educator more than behind the chair, because yesterday's class, I taught, you know, hair extensions yesterday, and it was a fun class. I had a good student. Right. It was great.
Depends on the moment.
Tuesday night was really fun behind the chair at the salon. I was having a grand old time goofing off with clients, and I got a lot of technical questions on Tuesday morning for class. And it was a tough, you know, like the stylists were struggling with their questions. Tuesday's class was rough, trying to be patient to repeat the same information over and over and over for somebody to get it. So I had a tough stylist in one of the classes on Tuesday. So Tuesday I did not enjoy being an educator.
but it's fair to say you enjoy both.
There isn't one over the other. Right. You know, both times. Like, there is nights I'll drive home.
Timothy.
Yeah, Timothy. It really, I don't have it, because I'll be driving home some nights and going, why don't I just teach and enough of these clients, right? And then sometimes I'll be driving to the salon saying, thanks God, I'm going to be a hairdresser now, because what the hell am I trying to teach right now? Who are you people that I'm trying to teach right now? And then it's the reverse. Sometimes I'm going to the salon going, oh, the clients are going to get it tonight. I am pumped. This class was like yesterday. The class was awesome. Every client got special treatment yesterday. And then conversely, I had a great night at the salon. So the class the next day is like, all right, man, I'm going to teach you how to rock every client, just like I did last night, you know? So I'm 50-50. I'm split. I don't think I have a favorite. It depends on the day.
So I think one of the things that a lot of people don't think about when you guys teach, it's not just teaching. You guys are also big on technical support. and y'all spend a lot of time on the phone, not in class, offering stylists
That's why I'm split. That's why some days
big
suck.
piece of it. So Bernard, you're not. They may not notice, but you're not really behind the chair at all.
I'm not
anymore.
You're in front of the chair right now. You should just go behind it right now.
How long's it been? It's been close to a decade, right?
I think that's what I've been saying. It's about 10 years. Yeah. Like I'm guilty of, I actually answer some people during the live sometimes because I look at my phone, and if it's really something they need to know now, I'm like, they can wait. Oh God, they need an answer right now.
Mixing color right now.
Yeah. The hair. Yeah. Right.
But the tech support is big.
I think it's a lot like what you said earlier, though. I just want to give some people some good feelings about if they're trying to figure out which to do. Earlier, you said some people just wouldn't be good at owning a salon, so don't do it. Stay a technician if that's what you're better at. That's kind of how I heard it. I know the words were different, but same thing with teaching or being behind the chair. A lot of hairdressers feel like that's the pinnacle of being a hairdresser, is to become an educator or to become a teacher, and it may not be for everyone. I never thought it would be for me. In the early days, I was super shy, believe it or not, would not talk in front of people, and somehow accidentally ended up in front of a crowd at a hairdresser show in New York because an educator dropped out and they asked if I would help out. And I was like, oh, no way can I do that on stage. And they kind of talked me into it. And I was, wow, I am cut out for teaching. I did not know this. So there was an early realization for me that if I was talking about something that people could learn from, I started feeling guilty if I was talking to one person, because I knew if the other people came around, I could benefit so many more than just talking to the one. So I started wanting to be more efficient. And I went through this phase where if I'm going to say it, I need to video it. I need to be on a live. I need to be in front of a crowd. And I felt compelled, like, don't waste the words on one. Although it's not a waste, I didn't mind doing it. I just thought I could be way more efficient. Let me get the word out there, because I remember being so confused in the beginning when I went to school to do hair. First of all, I didn't know where to work, what city I should work in, what services I should do or specialize in. And about a year or two in of all this confusion, I started to see a little bit of organization in the industry in my own head, but never saw it written down anywhere. And I started to realize, man, I need to help these stylists in school figure this out. Like, when you get out, you could be just a nail tech. You could just do pedicures. You can just cut hair. You can just color hair. You could be just an esthetician and just do faces, you know? And then some people get in school and say, I should have become a nurse. I should have become a massage therapist. And I realized that it's so freaking confusing and nobody breaks it down for you. When you go to get your license, you don't even realize how much you're licensed for, and then how many things you can learn after school that's not even taught in school, like hair replacement, hair extensions. Some schools do now. But I started to realize there is so much that our license covers. I wanted to start teaching. After I started teaching extensions, I'm like, I want to teach hair replacement. I want to teach business. I want to teach consultations. I want to show some of these new hairdressers how easy it is to make. And that's kind of where Profitable Stylist came from. Wish I could say I made up the name or the term. I don't even remember who did. Maybe you.
Darren.
It was Darren. RJ and Darren argued.
RJ and Darren, yeah.
Darren didn't even like the name until he told his friend Steve, and then he liked it. But
oh yeah.
All right.
So to me, just passing on the knowledge, I enjoy the side where I can help people learn how to make money doing hair. And being an educator is not necessarily the next step for people. It could be a YouTube influencer. There's so many. It could be owning a salon. It could be investing in the stock market. There's so many other paths that you can take to find freedom, fulfillment, or wealth. And I think too many hairdressers think it's this certain line of, you got to be a hairdresser, then an educator, then an influencer. You got to own a salon somewhere in there. And that's not the only path.
Right. And shameless plug here. If you think you want to be an educator, stay tuned, because we have a contest coming up soon that'll give you a chance to educate.
That's right.
All right. This one cracks me up, from Ellen. She starts saying, I'm not a numbers person, but when you say six-figure stylist, that's $100,000. Yes, Ellen. And then she says, do you mean, and then she has in quotes, do $100,000 or in quotes, make $100,000?
Good question.
I think she's talking about income versus service total. But do you
Like
believe
growth versus net,
stylists?
or just in general?
I don't know. I think she means like service total versus income, maybe.
It really is mind-boggling to me. So, and yes, it really, really is mind-boggling to me.
What?
This, like, how many hairdressers do not realize that they have the ability to make $100,000 a year or more? And then so many hairdressers also don't realize that that doesn't just mean gross. You can actually, after taxes,
Right.
your net pay, your take home could easily be $100,000 or more. The only thing that's blocking you from doing that is yourself. I mean this sincerely. I don't mean this as an insult. There are so many people that tell me I don't have the clients for that. I'm not in the area for that. My neighborhood doesn't, the people in my neighborhood don't live like that. The world has evolved so much, so much. 20 years ago, I used to charge $45 for a single process for a root touch-up, okay? I used to charge $70 for a partial highlight, and I used to spend an hour and a half putting in 150, 200 pieces of foils. I mean, I look at the new generation now. They are spending hours doing these balayages and these ombres, and they are charging hundreds of dollars for it. And it amazes me how this younger generation, this new generation of hairdresser, I'm not saying age, I'm saying just generation, they just automatically, it's in their mind that when they're going to do a service, they just have to charge hundreds of dollars for it to justify the amount of time that they're spending. And they're taking their time. We used to book on the 15-minute, and then we used to double book and sometimes triple book, even though we would still be booking on the 15-minute. We used to crank out 20 to 30 clients a day. It was like an assembly line at the salon. I'm not exaggerating, okay? And we used to make $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 each of us behind the chair, gross, because we were double and triple booked. There was more assistants than there was stylists employed at our shop, like at my shop, because there was always a line for the shampoo bowl. We were cranking them out. It is so easy now to make 100,000 or more behind the chair. You don't need as many clients as we used to. You can charge service. Eggs cost $6. Okay. Gasoline in Chicago is $5.
It was all over the place just a few minutes ago.
I'm just saying, like the inflation is insane. The numbers are insane, and so why is the beauty industry still stuck 30 years, 40 years back? And this sheer terror that I see on people's face to try to justify raising their price by $1 or $2 is just, it's disheartening sometimes. My heart goes out to you if you're stuck in that scenario. You shouldn't feel that way. You should not feel obligated to be that way. And the problem becomes this: you grow with your client. You're never doing new client acquisition. You just built your client, you built your book, and then you stopped. And if you stop building your new client book and you just deal with what you're keeping yourself busy with, that's where you get stuck in that hole of you can never adjust your prices. So yes, we do make 100,000 or more, and you can make 100,000 or more. But you always have to be chasing for new clients. You can't just be satisfied with having a full book.
What was the question?
Do you really make 100,000? Can you really make 100,000? Six figures is 100,000 or more.
I think that maybe some people, because even in we have a commission salon, and I think that maybe that question might be pulling it, charging 100, and then you're splitting with the salon a certain percentage. Are you keeping 100? So obviously you'd have to be doing over 200,000 gross if you're doing 50% commission. And then of course it could be a net or gross kind of thing. But yes, like Eddie said, it's easy to make over 100,000 a year now. Our industry is so spread out, though. You've got people that make, well, forget about the make. It's the attitude or the place in life or in a relationship. They might just be this person might just be the secondary income, a little extra money. It might be a part-time job, just a little money to spend on themselves or the kids, and they're not trying to make a lot of money. So you've got part-time, so part-time, all the way up to full-time people who overwork 80, 90 hours a week, make more than doctors. So there's such a range, and it's so self-driven and self-motivated that not everybody has the motivation or the drive or the commitment to get there is the problem. So you have to create it yourself. And I have learned over the years, I often used to wonder, why do so many hairdressers become nurses? Well, here's the big difference. As a hairdresser, you have to decide to make the money and come up with a business plan and grow forward. Doctors have to do the same thing. They get all that education. They go into in the medical field. They become a partner, and they sit there with no clients. They have to decide to figure out how to get the patients. They have to collect or accept the right insurances, take the overflow from the other doctors. But the nurses are kind of in the middle. The nurses, they get a job and they make big money per hour, but it's guaranteed. They just get the job, you show up, and you're getting to $30, $35, $40 an hour. And so you don't have to find the clients, create the income. And then you've got nurses that become hairdressers because at $30, $40 an hour, they feel like, I'm stuck. I can't create my own income. Whereas being a hairdresser, I decide what I charge, and I decide how hard I work, and I decide how much I do or how many hours I work. And so those are the two big differences to me. As a stylist, you've got the freedom to decide to take what kind of clients you want, charge what you want, work as hard or as little as you want, make as much money as you want. So 100,000 is just, I don't know, I guess it's some kind of ceiling people put in their head because but really it's endless. It's endless.
Oh, I got to redo the math. I did the math once. I did, because it really bothers me. If I recall correctly, you just need to be producing $48.50. Like basically it was like $50 an hour for an 8-hour day.
Right.
8 hours a day, 5-day week. No, like a standard 40-hour week, right? I think it was like $48.50 or something like that. And you've made 100 grand. Like it's that.
And we've mentioned on this channel before, what is it, Bernard? 160 clients
is all you need.
Yeah.
Not that many people. So Ellen, my advice to you would be, there's nothing magical about $100,000. Don't let that be your ceiling or your limiting belief. And John says you have to grow your business constantly, which is
that really is the thing. You got to keep growing. You just got to keep chasing the new client acquisition model.
So the next question kind of goes hand in hand with that from Jen. She says, how do you guys, how do you handle burnout?
How do you handle what?
Burnout.
Anger and tea, or coffee for Bernard. He's a caffeine guy. But anger, alcohol, and caffeine.
Burnout.
Oh, and then
let's try to describe burnout. Like
it's a hairdresser mantra.
I think burnout for most people would be similar to a rut or getting bored doing the same old thing.
Like I'm thinking about becoming a nurse. Burnout.
I'm thinking about becoming a
nurse. Right. So what do you do to become excited again about what you're doing? I bet you, I hate to give one answer because a lot of these answers depend on a lot of other things, but I think a lot of hairdressers does tie into the last one, aren't raising their prices. And I think that's one. Actually, one of our sub-distributors, I remember in Nebraska, she one time was on stage talking about how booked solid she was, couldn't take a new client for so many weeks. And I turned to her on stage in front of a crowd. And I'm like, you need to raise your prices. And she's like, oh, Bernard, I just don't know if in this area of my client. What are you talking about? You're teaching on stage. That helps burnout. Because the next time we're teaching together, she goes, actually it was a few weeks later. She tells me on the phone, she goes, Bernard, I have to thank you. I raised my prices, and I can't even, the weird way that I know it's working is I was only just about barely covering my bills. My checkbook would just, get money in it, and then all spent in it and all spent. But now it's been a few weeks and I have extra money in my
I'm probably working less.
Yeah, she said, I've got clients that aren't coming back because I'm charging more. So, so I'm not working as hard. I've got a few openings in my schedule, but I got extra money in my checking account. So financially, it's helping me. Right. So that can possibly be a reason, but you don't raise your prices unless you're booked. So that one, I think sometimes I just tell everybody to raise your prices, and maybe some of you shouldn't yet, Right. So you got to do certain things to just break out of that boredom or that burnout or whatever it is. And raising prices would be the answer for a lot of people. It looks like Eddie wants to say something.
I want to ask you a question. No, so I want to answer it in the form of a question. I want to play Jeopardy. If we replace the word burnout with grind, I think that makes more sense. I think a lot of hairdressers the burnout that is being asked in the question. If you stop, it's the lack of motivation to do your job anymore. That's the hairdresser burnout. So you're just coming in, you're grinding out your day, you're going home, you got nothing else going on. Or you're just too tired to have anything else going on. And then you come in the next day, you grind out your clients, you go back home, you come back in day after day after day. You're just constantly doing the grind.
Sure.
You stop going to classes, so you stop learning anything new. You stop going to hair shows, so you stop
ready to say come to ABS Chicago this weekend.
Yeah, well, so like if you don't have inspiration, if you don't have motivation, if you don't have new knowledge, something to get excited about, it's just the same old hair extension day after day, hair color, haircut, blow dry. It turns into the grind, that monotony, and then it gets boring, and then you lose the excitement of why you became the hairdresser or in the industry. This is a creative industry, and if you handicap the creativity, then I think that's the burnout. I think the grind I think the motivation, the lack of knowledge, the lack of inspiration turns into the grind, which then turns into a burnout. Does that make more sense?
Yeah, it's hard to answer these questions without interviewing the asker of the questions. But
I mean, that's the way I take it from behind the chair, because I feel that sometimes, but then I teach a class and I'm back up again.
Yeah. So who asked? Oh, Jen. So I would say the best cure for burnout is focus. You focusing on the wrong thing. When you focus on what you don't like about the work versus what you do like about it, burnout comes quick. And I hate motivation. Yeah. I love discipline. Motivation is too temporary for me.
Fair enough. So then here's your discipline. Take a weekend, go on a bender, come back revitalized.
But there's got so Jen, I'm assuming there's something about the work that Jen loves. Right. So I would say focus on that and not the other stuff. And that's going to help a lot with the burnout. She's asking this question. So yes, Jen, you are on the right track. You are not burnt out yet because you are recognizing maybe you're on the cusp of it. You're aware.
And that's why you're asking, So good job.
Yep.
Keep watching Profitable Stylist and you will never burn out.
If you subscribe to this channel, you won't have any problems. All right. The next one is from somebody that's not in the industry, but it's interesting, from Stacy. She says, my daughter is graduating in the fall and I'm nervous for her. What advice would you give her to start her career? Well, the first thing is have her subscribe to this channel. But, no, I'm kidding. Go ahead.
She's graduating beauty school?
Yep, I assume.
Look into a good nursing program.
And Bernard, you touched on this a little bit earlier, but what advice would you give somebody that's graduating in, say, 2 or 3 months? Because it can be...
Getting a job at the right place is going to make a big difference. I went to the wrong salon early on because it was part of not knowing where I should go or what I should do. I used to think it was you had to start in the right city, but that's not necessarily it. But there's a busy or many busy stylists in the city that you live in or the city you want to live in. So figure out where you want to live, just because that's going to, if you're planning on moving anyway, move before you get the job, go to the city you want to be in. But most likely in the city you're living in and that you have the family in, I'm a little more family oriented. So I wanted to stay in the city my family lived in to start with. and then find a salon that has that busy stylist that needs an assistant. And they don't even have to need an assistant. You spent at least a year or more in school paying to do clients. And a lot of people would say, I didn't pay to do clients. You paid to go to school and you did the clients for free. Maybe they tipped you, but you did the clients free. So you did the opposite of charge clients for services. You paid to do services. You paid to go to school. So what does it matter if that takes a little more time in a salon? What if you went a whole nother year, which I don't think it'll take a year, but what if you went a whole nother year not making money, but you were set up to make a lot of money at the end? Would be better than working in a salon where you get paid for a year, but only if you do something and you don't know what to do or how to get the something to do. So you sit around waiting for it and it never happens. I say go assist a busy stylist. And if they won't hire you or pay you to do it, tell them you'll do it for free for a month. You know, let me assist you for a month, or 2 or 3. Because right there, the experience you're going to get, and you got your foot in the door, they'll probably start paying you. If you're any good at all, within a few weeks, you're going to start getting paid. So assisting a busy stylist, if you can get paid, great. If not, and so that would be first. And then you don't really have to know any of my other advice, because all the good things will come from that busy stylist. They will teach you how to do all the things that made them successful. And it won't be so much like a test type of teaching. It'll be more like learning on the job. You'll just develop the right habits because you're working with somebody that understands how to make it happen.
Congratulations or pre-congratulations on graduating, right? That's awesome.
Yeah.
The advice for your daughter from me is tell her do not wait after she graduates to take her state board exam. Register immediately. The information is still fresh in her mind. And I understand people get nervous. It's okay. Register immediately. Get that date in place and just keep studying the practice exams and go take the test. Don't worry about, am I going to pass? Don't worry about, am I going to fail? Just go take the test. The exam is goes on a rotation. You never know which one you're going to get. You're going to get the sanitation test. You're going to get the services test. You're going to get the
different disease. In every state, though, Eddie. It's different in every state. Some people have to do it before they even get out of school. Some have already taken the test before they're done. Some it's already scheduled.
Okay, well, hey, even better. So yeah,
but it's good advice.
Yeah, do your paperwork.
Don't wait
at all. Don't sit and wait on your paperwork. Whatever your state requirement is to finalize your processing, get your license immediately upon graduating.
And I think you're right about taking it no matter what, because I think a lot of people do think I need to study more. But I think I'm correct when I say it's kind of like a lawyer going to take the bar. Just go and fail it. If you're worried, then just go with the mindset, I'm just going to go and fail it this time so I can, and you probably won't. But just go and take it, whether you fail or pass. Because it doesn't even matter what your grade is. I mean, nobody ever says, how good did you do? It's you just pass or fail. That's it. If you fail, you know where you need to study more and you schedule it again.
Absolutely. Because in this industry, you're only as good as your last haircut. It doesn't matter if you've been cutting hair for 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. You're only ever as good as your last service that you performed on your client. You can have a client for 20 years and you screw them up once and they hate you. You know, you can have a client for 20 years and you're doing perfectly every time.
Right.
That's it. So yeah, you know, it's nice to be worried about your kid, that you're a nice mom, but yeah, tell her no worries. Bernard's advice, I second it big time as well too.
Right.
Immediately go get a mentor, buddy up with somebody and get trained.
Yep. So say, Stacy, I would say for your daughter, and this is going to be hard to hear as a mom, but I would encourage her to fail. That's the quickest way to learn, is to figure out the fastest way to not do it. So get out there and fail. It doesn't matter. Your daughter's probably in her early 20s. She'll learn from it and become great. One more question. I was hoping we ran out of time before we got to this one, but this is from Holly
that's
C.
it, guys. Thank y'all for watching.
This is from Holly C. She says, is there a right time to go to booth rent?
No.
That kind of implies that a booth rent is the way to go. That's what, but I'm biased. So
I'm biased too. And you know what? The whole state of New Jersey is biased. that there's a state in this country that doesn't even allow it. It's illegal to booth rent in New Jersey because the whole state realizes that it's, oh man, yeah, we're going to piss some people off here. But what is booth rent? It's salon ownership. And we already talked about that. Not everybody is cut out to own a salon, but booth rent is sort of like, oh, we'll help you with that salon ownership a little bit by putting the building up. All you do is pay and get this room and it'll all be great. No, you got to find the products, the clients. The thing I see that happens with rent, like, first of all, no, I don't think rent should happen. Even the government doesn't like renting because most people are not cut out to own their own business. Most, right? I don't think I should have did it as early as I did. And so then when they do, they don't do their taxes right. So they just don't pay taxes. And so the government doesn't like rental because so many people are so unorganized on the tax side that they don't really know what to do with it. So they just don't pay taxes. So they tried to cut out rental situations a while back. But the rental situation assumes a person already knows how to run their business. Now, the problem with the commission side is not every owner is a good owner. And so you get in a situation where you work under a bad owner that doesn't actually help you out because there's some money the salon owner's keeping and some the stylist is keeping. So the part that the salon owner's keeping is supposed to market, cover the phones, cover the front desk, cover the retail, cover some kind of growth potential, some education. They don't all do that. So I get it. They take the money and they just don't help at all. And so then you think, well, I'm doing it myself anyway. I might as well go rent. I get that. And maybe you should, but maybe you should just go to a commissioned salon that actually helps you grow. Because if you're going to go and rent, you might as well just go and open a salon and be an owner, in my opinion. I think rent is the cop out. I think it's that in-between place. Right. And I can say this with confidence because I've watched so many stylists leave my salon over the years to go rent. And many of them, most of them come back and apologize, beg for their jobs back, or say how stupid they were. And I'm sure some of them were successful as renters, and those end up opening their own salon. I'm not against the stylists wanting to open their own salon and helping people grow like they did. But rent to me is just that, oh, that's purgatory, you know? That's just.
But there is no right time.
No.
Like, I've been a stylist for 3 years, 5 years, 10 years.
Right.
It has nothing.
It's not right at all.
Right.
It's just wrong.
But you're also missing the community aspect.
Yeah.
You know, I heard a guy on a Stoic video say, if you had all the money in the world and everything you wanted in the world, but you were the only person on the planet, you'd be suicidal. You know, we need relationships. We need community, whether you think you do or not.
So you're saying rental is suicidal?
These booth rental places where you're not in an open salon, but just in a room by yourself.
Yeah.
Man, that's a tough career.
Yeah, and a lot of rental situations are in open concept salons like ours, and
which is better.
It is better.
Still,
you know. But then it's a cutthroat environment because they're like
it's full of humans.
Right. And so it's like you only make the money you do. There's no helping each other. So you try hard to grab every client that walks in the front door. That's the other side of rental. And what I've seen is you own your own thing now. So if you don't have a client at 9 a.m. and you don't have one till 10, you maybe not have one till 11, you sleep in, you don't come in till 11. Whereas in a commission system, we've built a structure that works. And we say, come in at 9, leave at 5, or whatever the hours are. If you don't have a client till 11, you come in at 9 and you work on your business. If you're not working in your business from 9 to 11, you go out marketing, you make some phone calls, you make some texts, you do something to try and you assist other hairdressers who then their clients get to know you and like you. And then they send their husband, their kids, their friends to you because their style is busy now. So you build your business during certain hours. Now, if you go rent and you can understand that concept, you can probably do it in a rental situation. Right. Most people just don't. You need that support from an owner that has screwed it up for many years.
Right. You remember a few Saturdays ago, we had 9 walk-ins, and that's in a 6-hour day. So if you're not there, you didn't get any of the walk-ins plus the future value of those clients.
Right. Right. So you're on a decline to me. Most hairdressers, when they rent, they're on a decline. Usually a rental, you ever think about this? a rental situation comes from a hairdresser, usually that has a booked solid clientele, and they think it's time, like you just said, time to rent, right? So they got to that time, they go rent a space. And the first thing they do is they're looking for spaces to rent because they're going to bring all their friends with them and screw that salon over that they're at and bring 4 or 5 stylists. So they start looking for a space. You know where you find the space that you can afford to rent? It's not on a main street. It's not on a main and main. So you end up on some back alley because you don't need location because you're bringing all your clients with you, right? And so you end up in this crappy location. You don't even have a sign yet. Think you don't need one, but eventually you put a sign up. So then a month or 2 or 3 later, somebody says, I think I'm ready to go rent, or I want to go rent, or I'm right out of school and my teacher said renting is better than commission. So you
That's
go.
the worst.
That's the worst. So you go to your friend's salon and you don't even know why you're failing, but you go to this location that was first chosen out of all the wrong reasons. They didn't choose a location that needed a little visibility, needed to be found a little easier, had a reputation for people going there. Like our salon's been in the same location for a long time. We get walk-ins that haven't been here in 8 or 9 years. You know, they move back to town with the military and they just go to that place they know. So you get out of school, go rent in a place that is just in the middle of nowhere. Nobody walks in. You got so little chance of making it. That's just the first big failure part of rental that I see. And then so many other things on top of that. The cutthroat.
And the reality is you do lose clients. They move away, they die, they whatever. Right. And if you can't get new ones, you know, so. All right, take us out, Eddie. It's
out. I got to go.
All right.
Meeting.
Thank you, everybody, for the 100,000 subscribes. We need 900,000 more to bring RJ back. So get on it. Tell everybody.
If we didn't get to your question, put it in the comments.
And then we'll get to you. That's the next time we're going to get to any of your questions.
Put it in the comments. We'll answer.
Yep.
I hope we were able to answer all of your questions. If some of you are now seeing this and you have some additional questions because you've been inspired by some of the answers that we've shared, go ahead and give us a comment. Let us know what some of your other questions are, and we'll hit you up. We'll get to your questions in the next episodes. Thank you so much for watching. We will catch you guys next week. Oh, and if you're in Chicago this weekend at America's Beauty Show, come say hi to Bernard and I at booth 1506, and come see Bernard in the private classroom 52 for some free education.